Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rutherford County Commission Public Safety Committee. We're glad to have everybody here with us, and those of you who are watching too. We hope everybody has taken their turkey out of the freezer and put it down in the refrigerator so it can be thawing out and getting ready for Thanksgiving. And we'll get on with our agenda this evening and begin with the approval of our minutes of the last meeting.
I reviewed and then find the minutes from the October 28th to be accurate and true.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do I?
Second.
We have that motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll begin this evening with the Correctional Work Center report.
Try to stay as far away from all this technology as possible here. We'll get started with our most recent November Work Center Board meeting. I think you all have the minutes for that meeting there. Biggest thing that we talked about as far as expenditures was being right on track with where we really wanted to be at this early stages of the year. One thing that we did have to spend a little money on this past month was some repairs to the ceiling or the roof of the building, which had been kind of a pain over the past few years. But I think we had maintenance set us up with someone who came out and took a look at it, and I don't think it's going to cost as much as we thought it was. So we should have plenty in our budget to cover that. But hopefully it won't go over what we thought it would. Next is our yearly activity report. Our head count staying about the same. We're running anywhere from 170 to 190 there. One thing that we have seen that the majority of those are felons now, whereas several years ago it was mostly misdemeanors, but we started taking split confinements, and we might have someone serving misdemeanor time and felony time also on the same sentence, and we see a lot more of those than we used to. Next would be our work release report. Work release is going spectacular. Everybody's doing really well on that. And then end up with our monthly worker report with total combined savings of $120,582 this past month using inmate labor. Just to mention Warren County's Corrections Partnership Committee going to be coming out to our facility to do their monthly meeting on December the 5th at 4:30 if you all would like to attend that. It's they want to see kind of how we do what we do at the Work Center as far as programs, work release, our training program for our staff, and our award-winning chili recipe.
Cook it for
I know, but I won't have somebody. But that will be, and we'll do a short presentation there for them. I was asked by Tennessee Corrections Institute to go out and speak to their commissioners a few months ago about some of the programs that we do at our facility, and it was kind of caught on, and now they want to come down and do their actual meeting at our facility and take a tour, do a Q&A, and just kind of learn more about what we do so they can try to copy that there in Warren County. So that'll be December 5th at 4:30 p.m. And as far as our report, that's about it. Pretty short this month.
Commissioners, any questions anyone might have?
Do we need to make any kind of motion to re-support Ms. Mosby and Mr. Asbury by chance to stay on the Correctional Workhouse Board?
I think it's
That's
on the
It's on steering.
steering.
It's on steering.
Okay.
Anything else anyone might have?
Move to approve the report, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Who made that second?
Mr. Page.
Commissioner Pete, all right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Report's
Thank you.
approved. We got your report approved this time, for sure.
Thank you. That's right.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
I tell you, before you leave, let me just mention this. We've been discussing this. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I had it in other business, but while we have most of the department heads in here, next month, the meeting falls on just before Christmas Eve. And we just think it's fairly close than what we're having to do there. So if it's okay with everyone, if we can move that to the 19th, that's the week before. That's a Thursday night instead of our usual Monday night. And we're going to set it at 6 o'clock instead of 5:30 because there's going to be another meeting in here at 4:30, but we think that they will be through. So we'll set it at 6 o'clock in this building on the 19th, if that will work with everyone. With that way we're not putting you that close to Christmas Eve because a lot of families do have other things going on. It's difficult to get everybody together at that time. Then the next week is New Year's Eve, and we don't want to interfere with everybody's parties and what you're doing there too. So if that's okay, we'll set that up. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is Sheriff's report.
Chairman, if I could, I'd like to go through my amendments first, my requests, and then go over the reports.
All right, we can do that.
The first is our SCAP award came through. You know, it seems like forever since we started that, but we were awarded $21,763. And we have appropriated that into printing. We have to pay for their services, which was $3,100, and then we're putting in other equipments for inmate needs. Well, that total will be spent on the inmates as the grant it tells us to do.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gannon. Any questions anyone may have? If not, Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Peay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes. Okay.
The second one, I'm requesting from y'all reclassification position number 1849 to a certified corporal for the evidence, to work in evidence. It has been non-certified, and after speaking with Sonia and some other people, we feel like it needs to be a classified corporal's position. But I'm giving y'all an example of what it could cost. I really believe it's going to be about the same. The prior corporal will have 14 years, and I don't think we're going to get that when we interviewed for that position. So I think it's going to be about the same. We won't need any money to do it.
That's an extremely responsible position. I mean, it's evidence and then process and everything else. I mean, that's, yeah.
One leg up, just knowing they have some basic evidence skills
Right.
too.
I guess to give you an example, we've got 91,000 separate pieces of evidence in that room right now. And on hand, we've got 4,827 that came in, and we disposed of 3,800 last month. So you can see the amount of evidence that's being handled, and of course, it's very, very critical that be handled properly for our chain. And then the other thing is a certified and gives us a little better situation as having two people that can go to court and testify
Right.
to this evidence.
This is an additional head count.
No, it's same head count. All we're trying to do is class it from a non-certified to a certified
It
position.
goes from a pay grade 23 to a 25, so I will have to get y'all's approval before I can do it.
But as Preble said, this would be the worst-case scenario. I don't think, as she said, that we would find somebody that's going to have 14 years of experience. as the other, so I suspect that it's probably going to be closer to not much.
same.
Well, I mean, for the responsibility, integrity, and what's involved in the storing of the evidence, you could lose hundreds of cases if somebody didn't do it properly, number one.
Well, the case gets thrown out just on evidence, and
So
doesn't
I'll
matter
make a
what's
motion to
really
approve that.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Mr. Gannon. Commissioner Sereno, seconds. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Peay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
And Chairman Brady.
Yes. I believe you have a resolution.
This is we can seize property and disperse property through federal, through state. This resolution is for local. Our circuit court judges can give dispositions for property, but it has to be spent back on law enforcement. And the state requires this resolution before that can happen. So Nick wrote this up for me. We got it all straightened out legally, and this is what we're proposing to the full commission to pass, so we can now do local seizures through circuit court.
Earl, can you give a couple of instances or examples of where you...
Well, say DEA, we would seize on a federal level. There are some state, when we do joint, that we would go through Department of Safety, and that would be a joint seizure with other counties or other cities, Murfreesboro, something like that. This, we take on a local level to circuit court. The judge will then, he will agree or disagree to give us property or not. It will be up to him, which is basically what we do. We don't ever know when we go to state or federal if we're going to get it.
This would be state, where we're dealing with other state agencies as opposed to federal. So,
Right.
Well, maybe I posed my question wrong. What I'm saying is, what circumstances would you go
Say we
after
seize,
someone's property?
Drugs,
drugs.
and we take it all the way up to circuit court, say we $10,000 and property, okay? It would be up to the judge to either give it to us or not give it to us.
I mean, I've read horror stories where people that had a large amount of cash on them for, some
We would-
other reason
That's why the
had
local
money
judge
seized,
would,
and I just,
Well, that's why you go to the judge. The judge makes a decision as to whether we
Right.
can or can't seize it. We've got to present the evidence to the judge, and then the judge renders a decision.
and the defense attorney would be there too.
True.
It's not something we couldn't do without the DA, the defense attorney, and everything. It'd be like a trial.
It's the same thing we do at federal level. All parties would be present at the local level before our state court. And,
We could not do this before we went to court and adjudicated and everything was done.
I saw something, I think on today or yesterday, about a very recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling in regard to this and seizures and so on. It's about-
Probably the asset forfeiture
Asset forfeiture.
statute.
Okay. Y'all familiar? It's,
That's why you don't see us do it very much
we're not gonna-
anymore.
Because from what I read in that, the Supreme Court struck that
They did,
down.
and we're not doing it. So.
You want anything else? I mean,
I don't know if that answers your question.
no, if it's
They're gonna
going
do
to
it.
the courts, I'm good, so.
Yeah, it's all attorneys are present for both sides. The case has already been adjudicated, and we're at the
Even if
level
they went to
now,
trial.
If they even go to trial, and then after that, then the assets that were seized, will
Property
they
and
be
money
awarded
or
or not
anything.
awarded based on testimony from us, testimony from the defense, and the judge then issue a
Not all
ruling.
of it, probably. The court
So it's
thinks-
not just us going up and asking, it's a full hearing with all parties present.
But you've got to show proof. I mean, there's a massive amount of proof.
Yeah,
you have to show.
it's changing every day, and this is all eyes. I mean, obviously, we all have heard the horror stories on this, and so what this is just allowing us on state seizures that go to the state court. But as Prevost indicated, that we present our case, defense has their case that they present, all parties presented, and the judge rules based on the evidence that's been presented.
If there's a trial, there's a trial. Guilty, not guilty, then they get everything back. So it's really out of our hands at that point.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Commissioner Gammon makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Fee makes a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. All right, I think we're ready for your report now, correct?
I'm not concerned much about any of our spending at this point. A lot of our money is encumbered, and that's why you see remaining balances or percent remaining. A lot of that's just encumbered money. So I'm not really concerned at this point, but of course we'll start looking about January, taking a closer. Utilities and everything seem to be normal. We did have a water leak last month. Took us several days to fix, but we'll see what the bill is when it comes in.
How are we sitting on the rentals, vehicle rentals?
Got 6 of my Malibus last week, and we're working on the Durangos right now, and one more Malibu.
Yeah, we got one more Malibu to deliver. Durangos, we're working to get those in.
So how many total have we got now?
We've got
7.
seven. They're all Malibus at this time. 20. Well, we've got 8 Malibus coming. We've gotten 7 one, and we've got 20 Durangos to receive.
Correct. Those are front wheel, right?
Yeah, several of those down at Truckers getting those light bars.
They are, right.
Here's how much you can get, here's the whole thing.
So the equipment's being.
I was just looking at that, and this may not be a
And we're bringing all
line
police
item, but
package in to strike
54,
over use.
110.3.
Detectives, a lot of them have police package vehicles. We're bringing them over to use.
Showing $100 left in that.
The sedan,
a different line
you're
item?
still with the
351.
SUVs, right? That's a good
Police
one.
payments.
Because that's not the lease, because the lease is more than 6.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more than that was.
Oh, no, that's in our,
That's in the, is that right?
it's still there, it's 450.
450,000.
425. something like
425,
that.
look up 330.
When I saw that, I said, man, you gotta have
Yeah.
a bunch of cars.
330, 5411 330 is the 425,000.
And a lot of that'll go through finance. We'll pay those from our operating account, so. When it gets ready.
Straight in the
Yeah,
alley.
that's internet connectivity and all the rentals and everything. That's what
All right, other questions on the report?
Sheriff Preble, give the committee an update. Where are we? Everything good on your floor in the kitchen, and also
That's doing well.
tell us
We
about
meet,
Siemens and where they're
Meeting
at.
with them tomorrow at 2 p.m. Siemens to get everything,
Okay.
things in
Started.
order.
Yes.
They haven't started.
They have not started. They're coming in tomorrow, is that the?
At 2
Yeah,
p.m. we'll meet
okay.
with them.
So
But your kitchen floor's holding up.
It's good.
Yes.
It's done well. We've got water on it. In fact, we had a leak in there and it's held the water, so no, we're good. It's a good, it was a good thing to do on that one.
Since we're bringing up other things, pre-trial reversed. I know we had some people retire and hired a new person that's over that now. Have we got a toehold or started on anything yet?
Well, on pre-trial, they've hired 2. And we got one more to hire from the judicial commissioner side.
Right.
2 just come in. I think they're in training or whatever they're employed on that basis. They do have, and we have been successful as far as people coming in on a low-grade misdemeanor where they've been ROR in those cases. And that part is our population today was in the 860s. We've been running 930. So we're seeing some effect of that.
and we're just now cranking it up.
It's just now, because they've just, within the last 30 days, have brought the 2, and they've got one more that they're looking for. But it is moving. And, in fact, we had a meeting with the judges last week, and that was part of the discussion to move that on.
Great. If you don't mind, keep us appraised.
Okay, sure.
Well, since we're talking about that, that third person they're trying to hire, and I think when Mr. Urban comes up, I think there's a lack of funding to hire that third person. I think it was only in the budget for 2, and the judges are wanting 3. So that probation may come to us and say, you know, we don't have it in our budget to pay for that third person, but if we're gonna be behind this.
All right, so you said we're normally running 900 something, we're already at 860.
They should pay for that third person.
I think it's
Just be prepared for,
Yeah.
you know, when.
Well, you know, as you know and I know, the county growing at the rate it's growing. We've got programs and all that, and I mean, we're trying our best. The day's coming, it's coming. And like I said, we've got CTAS that we're waiting on their study to come back to us so we can get with CTAS and TCI, meld what we've got together so we'll be in a position to inform you what we're looking at. We can't wait on this. If we started today, we'll be 5 years. So, you know, it's something that needs to be done and looked at, which we are doing.
Well, you know how I feel about it, so
Sure.
it's something I can do to help y'all. We can do as a committee, I'm sure.
Well, I would want to come to you with informed fact, with facts by the experts to back up what we're talking about, and the feasibility of can we add on or do we need to, I don't really know because we've got so much floodplain around that building. And so that's part of what we have to look at. It would cost us as much to fill in back there, and I can't even imagine what it costs. But we've got the parking lot in the front, so what's the feasibility coming across that? So that's one of the things we're looking at.
Thank you.
Might need to start looking faster.
Yeah, it's coming. I was reading, I've been appointed to the TCI board for Tennessee, and I was looking at some of the last, and
Projections.
there's some horror stories on some of these jails right now.
Yeah, we don't want to be one
I
of
don't
those
want to be
stories.
one of them, you know. We don't need to be up there talking to them about that, so.
I've included, of course, the medical stats, and I've included our openings and our resignations and our FMLAs and everything else at the end. But it's just a scary thought that 95% of our females run out of 131 on psych medications. So that's almost the whole population. So,
Staggering.
and that's
It
something
is.
we provide, we have to provide.
We're running about 60% on our male population, so it's a staggering amount.
We closed all our mental health hospitals, so what can we expect?
That's what we are now.
Well, that's what we are.
And we're working.
Unfortunately, we're not in a row other than to maintain because we're not a mental health facility. Of course, none are there that hadn't committed the crime, so it's a catch-22. It really is.
Okay,
That's the report.
that's your report. Any questions? Anybody have questions?
Move to approve the report.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Phillips. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner P. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Motion.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay.
We are short one member tonight. Commissioner Rather's not here this evening. He's had surgery. He said he would not be here. He said it's not the fact that he can't be here, but the doctors have suggested he not, due to infections and things like that, not be here. So remember him in your prayers. Okay, sir.
Okay. I'm ready to report that in the month of October that we had a total of 21 injuries requiring medical attention. That brings the total for the year-to-date to 224. Of that 224, 153 of them are OSHA recordable. 74 had restricted days, 29 were lost time days, and 50 were all others. On the next page of the report, if you look at that, you'll see that on the graph, this year we have a total of 219 injuries, which are for the year.
I have a question. Where is the report?
The report's not in the...
It's not.
It's not on the, I don't know, sir. I have, an extra copy of, sorry, I don't know why it's not on the,
You got an extra, we'll look at this one right here if you want to. Just go on the report and tell us.
okay, sir.
You're going to have to be real good and...
Well, it's all, I think it's good news. For the year-to-date, we've had 219 as of the end of October, as compared to this same time last year, we had 227. So we're down on the number of injuries as far as claims being reported. I report every year or every month on the total incurred dollars. Right now, through the end of October, we're at $415,000 for the end of October this year, compared to last year we were at $525,000, and the year prior to that was $469,000. So, as far as looking at incurred dollars, we can tell that the severity of our claims are down on that. And then on the last page of my report, the Board of Education had 11 injuries as compared to the County General that had 9, and this month the Highway Department had 1. Those injuries break down, like I said, for the majority of them for the Board of Education, we had 3 in slip, trips, and falls. And in the County General, the majority of those were struck or injured by in the County General, and they had 3 there also. The Sheriff's Department had a total of 7 injuries. Juvenile Detention Center had 1, and Paul's had 1. And that's all I have to report.
Any specific questions anyone may have?
Sorry it wasn't on the, I can't explain why, so.
Mr. Chairman, I heard this report, visualized it last Thursday at the insurance committee meeting. I moved it to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the report. I have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Gurley seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Been approved.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for-
You all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you for your descriptive report.
Thank you.
Recovery court.
We'll start with the drug court statistics. In October, we had 48 participants, 23 males and 25 females. You can see the racial breakdown there. The next phase, you can see the breakdown of the phases. The drug of choice was prescription meds, followed by alcohol and heroin. Counseling sessions, we had 391 attend. We required 403. That's a 97.2%. In the AA and Narcotics Anonymous meetings, we had 122 attended, and the required was 169, which was 72.19. We had 217 negative drug screens and 28 positives or dilute. Program fees, we took in $1,350. No court fines. 13 hours community service. 1 graduate, 1 terminated. DUI court, 48 participants, 31 males, 17 females. You see the racial breakdown there, the phase breakdown. The drug of choice was alcohol, followed by prescription meds and marijuana. Counseling sessions, we had 80 attend,
and 83 were supposed to attend, which gave us a 96.39 percentage. MRT, 56 attended, 59 were required, for a percentage of 94.92. Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, 274 attended, 236 was supposed to attend, gave us a ratio of a percentage of 116.10. We had 317 negative screens and 7 positives. We took in $2,490 program fees, 2 graduates, no terminations. Veterans Court, we had 22, 17 males and 5 females. You see the racial breakdown in the phases. The drug of choice is alcohol, and the rest of them were a close second. Attended was 140 in the counseling sessions, 143 was required, which gave us a percentage of 97.9. In AA and NA meetings, 188 attended, 129 was required. That was a 145.74 percentage rate. Drug screens, we had 130 negatives and 5 positives. Program fees was 930 taken in, 250 in court costs, and 40 hours of community service was done with 1 graduate and 1 termination. The last one's mental health court. We had 33 participants, 21 males, 12 females. You can see the breakdown of the race and the phases. Drug of choice was alcohol, followed by methamphetamines and prescription meds. Counseling sessions, 166 attended, 193 was required, which was 86.01%. In the NA and AA meetings, 12 was supposed to attend, only 12 attended and 6 were supposed to, for a 200% increase. Drug screens, 37 negatives, 1 positive. We had $100 in program fees and 2 graduates and 1 termination. We've got 14 waiting to be taken into mental health court, and then we've got, I think, 12 or so in the queue waiting to get assessed. And if all goes well, we hire a new case manager tomorrow. She'll start for her first day. We should be at 59, and we projected 60. So that'll double our mental health court. That's my report for drug recovery court.
Okay. Any questions you may have?
Can you explain what dilute is?
Dilute means is if I'm coming in for a drug test and I drink 6 gallons of water, that's an exaggeration, but if I drink a lot of water, then when I go for my drug test, it'll be diluted. And so what we do then is send it off to a toxicology lab, and they can, anything that's dilute, we send off, when we
So
can't.
you do further tests?
Yeah, we do further testing. We have a company called Redwood Technologies. They do all our drug testing. Next month when I come in, I'll bring you a sheet, show you what it actually shows, and it breaks down each drug and the percentage.
So the initial screening is very limited or something?
Well, it's a 12-panel drug screen, okay? And, we can only read, what it shows. And if it doesn't show up anything on the thing, then we get suspicious. There's so many things out there, I probably can't say on camera with the names of them, but, you can really fake the drug test if you're not watching, but we make them come in and we're very careful, and rarely do they get by us, but every once in a while they will. But a dilute is just when they drink so much water, it washes the substance out of their body.
That's a good question. Any other questions?
Got one comment. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Urban's been working diligently with the architects and the PBA over the last couple of weeks. I think you've
come to all the changes are going to be made on the blueprints. Of course, you know that they have to be out of their building by the end of June, so on probation down here on West Main, so we're hoping, I think the PBA will be awarding the contract, or choosing the contractors. They have 3, I think they're getting ready to participate, so we'll crank that up very quickly to get them across to the old judicial building on the 1st and 2nd floor, and it's all coming together. And just talking about dilution, Lieutenant Governor Wilder, you always used to say, being in the agriculture business, the solution to pollution is dilution.
Trust me, I mean, there's so many things they can do to, you know, I mean, but we're very careful when we do our drug screen.
Have a motion to approve this report, and then we'll move on to Commissioner Gurley. Have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
For probation, program fees were $0. Drug screens, fees were $304.95. Scram is just some old ones left over before the other company took over, is $152.24. And supervision fees is $3,036 for combined of $3,493.99.
Any problem on the Scram program?
Sir?
Any problems with that Scram once we got rid of it?
No. I haven't seen any so
So that's
far.
good.
Probation and recovery services, $26,281.49. Expenditures, $99,226.32 for a difference of $96,321.71. Probation and recovery VPAs entered for October is $25,543. Failed to enter an agreement was $29,759.50. And entered for the year of 2020 is $72,024.25, which leaves us a deficit of $100,000, $796.65. And again, that goes back to, you know, the lawsuit where, you know, if they say they're indigent and we can't collect the money, and our hands are basically tied in that situation.
Steve, yeah, go ahead.
Did you catch that?
You're probably seeing the same thing.
Probation and recovery services, there's something wrong with the math right there in that. So if you look at it,
You've
you'll
got
see.
revenues of 26,000 and then
Expenditures is 99 and the difference is 96.
Yeah.
should be
So-
73, somewhere in there.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Unless
And
there's something-
I'll change it,
Something I'm
and
not
send it
sure
back in.
about.
This was just sent to me this afternoon. I didn't even look it over. That's my, apologize for that. Unless they're inverted. But the biggest problem we're having collecting the fees is the lawsuit, trying to, you know, get them collected.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner P. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do you want to talk about the... Yes, we were talking about pretrial a few moments ago, so if you could, Commissioner, inform the rest of the committee about what the judges are saying you need to pay for. It's not in your budget.
What they've done is you know, so far we've taken in 45, which means we have to add 45 to our case manager load, which they already see 200, and that's had more work on our case managers. Plus we have to drug test them. You know, we figured our budget, you know, last year on what we did the previous year. You know, we didn't take into consideration getting, you know, so far it's 45 and we just took 2 more in. So, you know, it's costing us money to drug test them because we have to pay for that, and we charge the person back $12.50. But still, you know, if it comes back a dilute or suspicious, we send it off, and then they charge accordingly.
we're all for helping the county. I mean, that's what we're here for, to work together. But it puts an extra burden on our department, when we come up short, in a shortfall, budget-wise, it's just, drug testing is not cheap. And, we're looking at, I think Alyssa said she had taken in 45 plus 2 more. And so, that's 46 people that you've got to add to a case manager. And, we're working our case managers to death. And if we're to keep adding more people, I mean, we didn't budget for that.
So I guess, Mr. Chairman, in finance, I think the judges are pushing and they've got 2 hired and trying to hire that 3rd person. So they're pushing more of the expenses. So go ahead and start preparing as you start. We head into February to prepare your budget. You'll need to increase those, but you may have to come back to this committee and finance committee and ask for additional funds as well.
Because our drug testing costs about $5,000 every time we order them.
Sure.
And we have to get, we actually found another company out there. He's supposed to be sending me samples. 12 pounds, same thing we're using, but he's actually a little cheaper, $1 per unit cheaper.
But once you get a handle on what those costs are, then we can subtract that from what we're having to pay through the sheriff's department. I mean, it's all tax dollars. It's just, we're shifting it, and it should cost less by going your direction on the pretrial than incarceration.
But the way it's going now.
On that end.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but the way it's going now, I mean,
But it's just not
people
in your
we're
budget.
taking in, we just don't have the funds for it.
What the sheriff just said, 80% of his females were on psychiatric drugs.
So, yeah, I mean,
So, like I said, the figure I got today was 45 so far that we've taken in, and that's within a week.
And when you say they're taking it, are you just doing their drug tests, or are you talking about picking them up in your programs?
We have to follow the case manager. We have to keep track, follow them through a case manager and, make sure they're abiding by the program. And, we have to drug test them, make sure they're being negative in their drug screens and
So
things
you're
like
the
that.
you're the buck stops here, man.
Melissa is. Melissa on probation. She does a fantastic job, but, you only have so much to work with, and when you add extra to it, these guys are...
You're going to need extra case managers too, right?
Probably so. That's the reason why, when we looked at the floor plan, we added some office just in case we had to grow. Because if we take on the added responsibility of some of these, pretrial coming in, we're going to have to...
Still at $40 a night incarceration.
Because,
person.
if you looked at the caseload of some of our case managers in probation, it's anywhere between 200 plus. And they do a fantastic job, they don't cry about it, but they do a great job down there. And, but add more people, sooner or later, we're gonna have to find a way of
Yeah, make sure
handling
you
the
got
extra
enough
load.
office space as we're doing this over here to anticipate that growth. If we're moving more in that direction.
Well, guys, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
And
Thank you, sir.
You did approve the reports, didn't you?
Hopefully we'll approve.
Yes, probation.
We did. I'm writing down on you this time. We're backing it up. Public Safety Director. Good evening.
Thank you.
See you, Peter.
All right, so I am going to get Chief Farley's as well. He's on leave this week, so I told him I'd step in and bat for him also. So we've had another busy month, as every month is, it seems. A lot of training going on, both internally to our staff, as well as what we're working through and helping to deliver across the county and across the area. We've had quite a bit of radio system work. Peter will be able to talk a bit more about that. a couple of trips in that project to keep our timelines on track with that as well. We've, on the response side, we've had a couple of significant tractor-trailer incidents. One, unfortunately, involved a fatality that had things tied up for several hours on the interstate. One of our bigger response pieces which actually lasted for several weeks as far as the planning for that, was the David Bond search and the support that all of our agencies, Fire, EMS, Emergency Management, provided in that. So it was a great working relationship with all of our stakeholders and partners, and I think it went a long ways to the direction that we want to go, to be that support for the county. So that was very. It was a good working relationship that we had with everyone. Of course, we talked about mitigation last month. Those activities are we spent a lot of time on that, working toward not only what was this committee approved the application, but also working with TEMA, getting additional verifications as to how we can leverage those activities and dollars the best that we can to reduce the impacts on the county. So we're trying to get more mitigation focus, because the dollars on the front end saves us a ton of dollars on the back end when we have those anticipated disasters and events in our county. So that's kind of a very high-level overview as far as the emergency management report. Is there any questions as far as that part of it goes for now?
I noticed you installed a new radio in the Kittrell engine. Is that one up to the new specifications?
No, sir, that's just a VHF till that transition.
I was going to say, it came a lot quicker than I thought.
Yeah, I went that quick.
It's I guess a temporary.
Yeah.
So how are we doing with the sheriff's department? We got them where they need to be on communications right now?
So the portables were ordered, obviously, and they've been delivered to the Motorola office here. And I talked to the project manager today. He's planning to do inventory on everything next week. So before they release anything, they want to make sure what was ordered was delivered.
Those are all the handhelds.
Yes, sir. And so at that point, when he releases that, then we'll get it inventoried within the county's asset management system, and get them put in the radio management system and then programmed, and get those units to them. Now, they'll be operating on the present system, but that gives them access to those radios now, like we discussed earlier.
Okay, thank you.
So one other note in the emergency management office, I'm just very encouraged. Our new employee has just really hit the ground running well, as you can see in our layout, and just kind of modernizing our whole office and our systems and everything. So he's been a great help to all of us, and his learning curve has been tremendous. So we're very grateful to have him on board. So I have something on the back page, but I guess I want to get the report approved first, and then we'll talk about the updating of our update to the mitigation plan that we have on record.
Okay, let's approve this report, the emergency management report. Do I have a motion? Commissioner Gurley?
Second.
Second here, Commissioner Gammon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. So as most of you recall, every 5 years, is it right, 5 years we do the mitigation plan, we have to update that. Well, sometimes within the midst of writing the plan versus getting to the new one, we find there's opportunities that we need to update some things. And one of those is tied to what we discussed last month, which was applying for the generators for one of the radio sites. This is a clarification to the approved 2016 plan to add in on page 42 under the technological and man-made hazards prime concern, adding the verbiage loss of local government radio tower and communications facilities, as well as lack of backup generator capabilities causing long-term interruption of electronic broadcast services. And I bolded that just so it'd be easier to pick out. And what that does is that whenever we do apply for a mitigation grant, they go back and look at our plan. and if it's not in the plan, then you're automatically, you don't get it. So by doing this right here, then that doesn't guarantee we'll get the grant, but it guarantees that we'll be eligible for that review, as well as adding the sites of the radio towers in place there. So we just like to get the blessing of the committee to go forward. We'll put this in a resolution for the full commission to pass if you're good with that, updating the verbiage of that.
Do we really need to approve this? I thought this was in your
Well,
job purview.
Well, from our understanding that they want any changes to the mitigation plan to go before the body.
The legislative body?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine with me.
You making that motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay.
Second.
That's what it
Second.
says.
Which three of them? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So done.
Thank you. I think that just creates that check and balance so that, somebody don't go all crazy with updating something that y'all approve, so thank you.
And please correct that verbiage. Because I may be the one reading
Oh.
it.
All right, so then the next part of the agenda is the radio report, I believe. Peter's already hit on some of it, but he can give you a little bit more of an update, and then we'll talk about the service agreement too. So I'm going to let him answer the questions that y'all might have that you didn't already ask. You got it?
Yeah, so in October, we're talking about how we're waiting for the infrastructure for all equipment at tower sites to be staged. That was complete in Schaumburg, Illinois. We went to that facility, went through all the equipment, found some minor issues. We got resolved with no problem whatsoever. So that has shipped, and part of it is delivered, and I think the rest of it should be here before the end of the week. The subscriber units, like we talked about the sheriff's office, they've arrived in town. They're staged at Motorola service shop here. The APX radio training, we attended the radio management training course, which was 2 days, 2.5 days, which was in depth of setting up the server and doing the over-the-air programming and managing that system. Completed that. The frequency coordination for Region 39 is being coordinated by Easy Spectrum, so we had to apply for 2 more additional frequencies and some other licensing. That's being handled through Motorola. There's some environmental and the culture reports and all that structural analysis studies, civil work they were doing. So they're saying, we're looking at the 1st of December is what they're saying. We should have all that back. The engineer, based on what they saw in their walkthroughs, he didn't see potential issues just from early on, so that sounded all good.
This includes NEPA reports and
Yep.
everything? Okay.
That's part of that next one, so there's a couple of them that we're waiting on for historical. And then the system coverage acceptance test, actually that's the coverage, the system acceptance test, not a coverage test. That won't occur till the end of the system's installed and then the last site's done. But that's where we are right now. So like I said, looking next week to start doing the inventory on the equipment, and then we can get the SO in line and start getting everything put into county asset management, placed into the radio management system, and start working on the template building. And right now we're looking at trying to get training for all the users starting in March. That's not set in stone, but that's something we're looking towards.
What about training with our dispatchers and coordinating that work with Murfreesboro City? Have we started any of that yet?
So that merger,
Right.
Co-located.
Where we're co-located.
Yeah.
So that we've not started the training of that. We had a technology meeting today. Our biggest holdup right now with that process is AT&T. So we've put in the request. We're waiting to hear back, hopefully any day, to get the project manager assigned to that, because what we have to look at is the capacity of the lines and stuff coming into the center to make sure that we have enough for what we need immediately, but also for the future as well. So as soon as we get AT&T, their folks on board with that, then we'll have a better idea. In the meantime, we're working through the process of of looking at the technologies that would, like the call processing software, setting up a joint group to look at that so that we have both the city and our EMS eyes figuring out what's the best product to use with that. Criminal West was on the agenda today.
At the phone lines, some radio, and then the CAD.
And then also
Updated
we're
CAD.
working on updating of the CAD from our end, which is going to actually will improve a lot of patches that we've had to work through the past couple of years. So it's kind of a clean rewrite from our part onto the cities. So it'll be should be a better product when it comes out. We're still our timeline is to be fully functional by July 1. If AT&T's that there's just parts that are outside our hands on that, but hopefully I think that everything should be tracking along as far as that goes.
Interlocal agreement.
So the interlocal agreement, we received that back from the city. We had agreed in concept. We got that back from them. It's gone through their legal agreement part. We just went through it internally with the county to make sure that we were still good with any of the verbiage that was added and stuff with that. We're good on our end. After this, we'll send it to Nick to review on the county side, and then hopefully have that agreement here for the December meeting, if we can get that back in time for you all to look over. And
I didn't want to sign it until it comes through this committee.
right.
Speaking of interlocal agreements, where do we stand on the radio system interlocal agreement? I know we got the letter from the city, but
Yeah, we haven't received that back yet.
the city's still massaging that.
Yeah, so I haven't. We haven't received it back. That's every time that I've asked about one agreement, I ask about the other. So we got one back. So hopefully now that'll start. That should get that wrapped up hopefully soon too. If we're, I don't want to speak for them how fast, but it's on my radar.
Okay. That's all
I went out there and participated in one of those meetings with Kevin, and I was impressed at the way Kevin and our group was involved in that, and the questions they asked and what was involved, and had the opportunity to go through the facility to see what we're going to be participating in, and I was just really impressed and what our people will be working there. But the thing that caught my attention is when this all is up and running the way it's going to be handled, and once this system is in operation, we're talking about cutting off a minute on our response for our people out here. I mean, a minute. Now, I mean, that says a lot.
It's life.
Yep.
That minute, to me, as somebody 71 years old, that minute's important. And that minute's going to be important to a lot of folks. So I feel real good about this and what we're doing. But when I walked out there and looked at the facility and saw what we had there, we have a dispatch center that it's built, I mean, can withstand an F4 tornado. The windows can withstand that. So when other places within this city could be gone and down, it's still there operating. And that's what we're moving to. That's where we're going to with this and where we're going to for the county. So, I think we've got to feel pretty good about it. And like I said, they were working on that contract and what we're going to there. So I stepped back out of the way. And I mean, that's pretty much it.
And I too have been through that facility, in fact, over a year ago probably, and it is a very nice facility. It's got a lot of features that we don't have at our current facility. The vulnerabilities aren't there, so if any commissioner on this committee or otherwise hasn't been over there, I encourage them to arrange a tour. I'm sure Kevin can do that.
I was getting right off that if you just call me in.
Because it is a very nice facility. It's not something, you tour the current facility, you tour the facility that you're going to be moving to. It's a difference in apples and oranges don't even explain it. And so not only, dispatch is a very stressful occupation, so they've made a lot of accommodations to relieve that stress and provide for downtime and solitary downtime and so on for the personnel be male or female, and so it'll be a good thing, that along with the improvements in the actual radio capability, I think will bring a lot to this county. And, you know, we're not, I mean, around, there's 1,000 houses platted out within a mile of mine. And if you'd have told me that 10 years ago, I said, you're crazy, but yeah, it's happening. It's not waiting, it's happening now, so sooner the better. And yeah, AT&T, I know, it's, I got names for that, but it's a public meeting.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that input,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
All right, so we do have the service agreement, maintenance agreement we'd like to discuss and to bring forward to move. With this being just on the disclosure side on this, the attorney has not finished reviewing it. He's in the process of this, but on the timing wise of it, we wanted to get the ball rolling. This is pretty much a standard template that is used by Motorola to, and I think we have this same agreement in place with a couple of our entities already. So we don't anticipate any significant changes to it. The biggest thing is that if we pass this and we sign before the end of the year, then there's going to actually be a discount to us over the course of the contract of about $83,000. We don't have to pay anything until sometime later in June of 21.
21, after we accept it and go through a year's warranty, then we begin
So
paying.
then that's where our first payment would be. So we're not even looking at payments right now, but over the course of the following up to 10 years, then that will save us some money as far as that goes. So
But I need it passed through the commission tonight, before our budget and commission, so we can get that $82,000.
Is this the same amount that was talked about earlier?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we talked about
it's a lower amount if we pass it before the end of the year. It's the same amount if we don't.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a part of which the initial document you saw during the proposal for the project? Yes, sir. The SUA2 and the maintenance.
Okay.
But
Mayor's
we're not
yes.
actually going to need to appropriate money
Right.
for this until next year, actually next year's
2021, 22.
2021 budget. We'll need that money. It's
You're
gonna
going to be
occur in
this,
June.
you're
We'll
okay
need
with
that.
it? And right now, it's in the hands of legal?
That's correct. Yeah, we've been working all last week on this, and so I think we're to that point. Alex is here, and we just need to get a clarification to make sure that Nick was good with it. He's been back and forth in touch with their attorneys down in Miami with Motorola, so I think we've got everything worked out and ready to go to full commission for approval.
This is what we've already talked
Yes,
about
sir.
in the past.
Right.
Move to approve with the stipulation that it's signed off on by the county attorney.
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, Commissioner Gerber. We'll call the roll on this.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Peay,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrino.
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley.
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
We'll keep going forward on that. So you're relieved unless you just want to hang out up here. You're more than welcome to. So we'll go to the fire department side now. So just to give you some, Larry highlighted some stuff here, so I'm assuming that's what he wants me to really hit on here. So for the year, we're up to 5,546 calls. Of those, 64 were construction fires within the county's first day response area. Almost 2,900. I'm sure that since this is done, they're past that. 2,900 EMS responses. Over 650 motor vehicle accidents, 14 of those involving significant extrication. You all have seen, like I think we discussed it last month, some of the, on Facebook, some extrications and how quickly that our folks are being able to get out there to make a difference and saving lives. For the month, there were 4 of those were extrications. We had a little bit of an uptick on our structure fires for last month. We had 9 for the month, so it was a fairly busy month. But every third day, we were averaging a working structure fire. Some of that has to do with the time of the year, and I don't know what all the exact causes were in that case. But there were 642 responses for the month, so that's a pretty busy month. That's about the way that we do run in general. Totals for all the departments, we're looking at about 7,052 incidents for the year. Of those, 107 of those are structure fires, and 1,367 are motor vehicle accidents. So it's a very busy system. And I know when we first started the department in 2010, that process, they were 1,000 maybe runs. So the call volume continues to increase. Some of that's because additional services are being provided, but some of that is just because of our increase of our populations and all of our traffic on the roads, especially. There's the locations of the structure fires are on the next page.
Hold up on that page for a minute.
Okay.
Bottom of that page, you've got some mistakes down there.
Okay.
Kittrell is District 17. It's not District 62. Las Casas is District 25. Amarillo is District 15. These are the call numbers that Chief Farley has instigated on his own. Those are not the district numbers for these volunteer departments.
Okay.
It sounds trite, but it makes a difference when these departments are out there fundraising. And for instance, we asked you to put District 17 on this new truck that's coming in. We've got a truck that pulls in, it says something besides 17. They said, well, where's Kittrell at? That's who we're paying, the money that they give to the departments. And it makes a difference when that truck says Kittrell and a district number on there versus saying Rutherford County and having a 602 number on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I noticed that last month. I didn't say anything about it, but he also, if you go back one page on the prior page, he's always had the district department numbers along with that. And then last month, the old department numbers were still there. This month they're not, and then he's got this numbers here just like he did last month on these structure fires.
Okay. All right. I will make note of that. Thank you. The smoke alarm program is still very successful. Looks like we had 70 installations in the month of those from a previous grant that we're working off of. We got a couple of different paths that we're trying to keep those funded and make sure that everyone has the working smoke alarms. And then this next page has some of the follow-ups of the fire investigation unit, as well as some cases that were, I guess, have received some follow-up since then. So there were 2 cases that they actually made progress on during the month. There was a playground equipment as well as a electrical fire case closed on that one. That was accidental. So that division is growing as far as its capabilities and its experience. So that's we see the direct benefits of that. The benefit of investigating fires is that when we find out what causes them, then we can either help with education, or if it's something where we need to go back and address it from a code standpoint, we can do that. But obviously, if it's somebody who started it, then the sooner that you make that investigation in there, the more likely you're able to catch them. And arson is it's a very difficult crime to prove and to make cases on. And as you see here, we've had some of those cases, so that's been a very good thing. So that is the fire report in general there. Now I've got a couple other things to follow up on separately.
Okay. The approval of the report.
Move to approve.
Second time.
Motion, second. Mr. Gurley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved.
All right, thank you. So the next thing is a budgetary, just some moving of some funds. The maintenance budget has taken quite a suffer this year already between some of the issues at the Special Operations Building with the air conditioners that had gone out. And we've spent money at the training facility to get the roof repairs and stuff. Those were not anticipated, so we're down to kind of bare bones on that. Well, lo and behold, the Walter Hill Station has major septic issues, and we've actually had to have it pumped twice now in about 2 weeks. And the problem with that is that that was designed to be a volunteer station, and we're running 4 to 5 people out of there 24 hours a day. So wasn't designed for its use that it is now. So what we anticipate is that we're going to need to increase the drain fill lines to help manage that situation. So he has proposed here that we reduce some money from the maintenance and repair of vehicles.
Did you get someone, Kevin, to come out and look at the septic lines?
Yes, I don't know who it is,
Okay.
but Chief Farley has made contact with someone.
And
Are you talking about the state or are you talking about a contractor?
No, a contractor. So because it's existing, the state doesn't regulate, like they regulate the initial, from my understanding. And he talked with Mike Hughes and stuff as well on that. So but the expansion of it is, you don't have to get a permit for that.
you might share with the members that you transferred those guys over to Las Casas.
Right. So what we did is, it was kind of an emergency situation. Obviously, we requested the restroom trailer that the city of Murfreesboro has to come out there so they could, it's a really nice outhouse, so they could use that. And then, but it has to be pumped every day as well. So during the daytime, we moved that crew to the Las Casas station to be able to run out of there. During the daytime, there's not sleeping quarters there, so then they would go back in the evening and run out of that Station 52 to be able to operate and still remain coverage on the north end of town.
That's the one right there at the landfill. Know where that's located.
I believe that's right where you had your incident.
I was just going to speak up and say, you can
That's what
send
you're
back
looking
to
at.
these guys to say thank you for the quick assistance that they got me. Of course, they pulled out of their driveway and pretty well stopped.
That helped our response times tremendously.
Well, I thought it might. But the guys did a really good job, and of course, I appreciated it. And I want you to pass that on.
I did. And when I saw that video, you're a miracle to be sitting here right now, that's for sure. So right now, this is the just moving funds. It's not asking for an increase or anything so we could get that taken care of as soon as we can get someone out there to do the work.
You're moving money into the maintenance from vehicle repair and other supplies.
Yes, sir.
Those, as far as you know, they're going to be okay for the rest of the year. Who knows?
It's been a tough year on our maintenance side. Like I said, it's been, and there's additional stuff that we're just putting off until we can get into the next year. But if something unexpected happens, then we'll have to come back and figure out on that.
This is one of those things that you can't say no to. Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to approve. Commissioner Phillips, have a second. Commissioner Fee, seconds. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Payne.
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrino.
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon.
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley.
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes. Cool. All right.
Apparently, Chief Farley's watching us at home, and he said, I misspoke. He says that he does have a permit from State Environmental. So I I was misinformed, so let the record show. You're welcome. Thank you.
You watched that?
Yes, sir. He's watching it. So he's not vacationing very much, that's for sure. All right. So then the last thing is we would like to request permission to apply for a mitigation grant to be able to install emergency generators at some of our stations. This is one of those to where we're not guaranteed of getting it, but these stations do not have any type of emergency backup or anything. So if we're in the middle of as you mentioned, we've had tornadoes or ice storms or whatever the case may be, they would not have power at those stations. And the way that this works is that we was through TEMA, as well as, and then that goes through the process. It's approved at the state level. It goes to FEMA for approval. That process, as you can imagine, is not very fast. So this is not something that we would have within this year's, unless a miracle occurred within this budgetary year for sure. And even if it is, it would be a significant savings compared to the full cost of the $68,100. So we would like permission to apply for that, and then we'll work on that on the budgetary side in the next year's budget cycle. Yes, sir.
I noticed that Almaville is not in here.
So
They run next to county, they probably run the most calls of anybody.
right. So the thoughts on this was that we're trying to get that. The generator part is something new with the mitigation grants.
Okay.
So we felt like if we did everything all at once, that our likelihood of getting it funded would be minimal, or greatly decreased, I should say. So the thoughts are is to get this going, and then figure out the process, and then we'll come back and we'll continue to advance that and do more of them along the way.
Yeah, I'm still, like I said, Almaville runs, volume-wise, runs tremendous more volume than many of these other volunteer fire departments. If you look at just the report. And so I'm just kind of a little bit wondering.
I think
why.
part of the process, as far as the initial identification, was of the Almaville stations, the only one that is county owned is basically the station that's at the old school. Whereas these all, I know Christiana's is kind of a joint partnership between what the county's invested into it, and as well as Christiana Corporation. The Kittrell is the old the school in Kittrell, and then the other two are the county facilities. So that was part of their thought process as well on that. We want to make sure that we can get it, and then continue to work to increase that to everything. I mean, our goal is obviously to get all of the stations with emergency power, as well as anything that is built new on the front end, have that in place.
Okay.
Got a motion to apply for this grant?
Motion.
Mr. Gammons, have a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Phillips? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe you have one more.
All right, one more, and this one is a no match, so this is even nicer. So as you all know, Firehouse Subs, they collect a lot of money from their sales, and they try to give that back to the community. I know that we've had several emergency entities here in the county and really all over the country to receive these different grants. We would like to apply for equipment to help with our special operations. Speaking more so on our water response side, it's equipment that we do need, and if we can, they've got kind of a standard package that they have. They work with communities for that, so we just want to get the blessing of the committee to put that request in. No match.
I'll make a motion to approve, we'll take the free money.
I need more sandwiches. All right.
Motion, Commissioner P., second, Commissioner Gurley. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Director, you had another emergency expenditure today? Generator?
Generator. Yeah. So the
Sheriff Committee.
So the generator at the EOC had been, we had alarms going off on it the last couple weeks, and maintenance downstairs went out and looked at it, and it was low on coolant. It was setting off high alarms, low alarms, all sorts of stuff. We had the folks come out last week and look at it, and the water pump is out on that big generator. And then also there was a thermostat, I believe.
The heater block.
Heater block, I'm sorry, as well. That's they put coolant in it. It's trickled out. We put more in it. It's trickled out. So it's just something that we've got to move forward on it very soon to make sure that it gets fixed. So that's about $2,000 to get that taken care of. So we turned in the emergency PO just so that as soon as we got that back, and I think we got that today, we got that online. So one of those
Things happen.
It's showing its age.
I just had a
Yeah.
black cat in the station or something.
It was running all over the county. So, but yes, that was one that we definitely were not anticipating. But those things, they happen. So, thank you. I will
Thank you, sir.
yield the rest of my time to Director Hudgens. Yeah, he is free.
Ambulance report. Director?
Hello, everybody. Everybody remember my 1.5 here tonight?
Finally made it back.
All righty. Since I've been in this position, I've had the privilege of coming in every month and bragging on us setting records. This will be the first month that I haven't gotten to. However, everything is good. The number of calls we had for the month of October was 3,155. We kept our response time at 6.6. The number of DOAs we've had were 61. 21 of those were sent for an autopsy, and we paid $39,375 for that month for autopsies. And state payments we received for our reported deaths were $1,525. Year to date on autopsies are 83, and year to date we've paid is $155,625. And I'm projecting next month to be over 200. So just keep that in mind, where our numbers are going to be increasing. Okay, on collections, we billed $1,741,684. Total collections, we almost set another record, $1,060,106. Year-to-date collections is $2,980,694. Projected collections are $8,942,082. Percent collections at 130%. Insurance write-offs were $925,466, and other write-offs were $207,197. And moving on over to our non-emergency side, total number of calls were 313. 46 calls were denied. Total billed was $266,381. Had good collections this time. Total collections were $130,982. Year to date is $262,240. Projected yearly collections is $786,720. Our 600% collection rate and insurance write-offs were $264,457, and other write-offs of $225. We had a total of 6 thank you notes. And that's all I have for that report, before we do the amendments. Any questions on that?
Anyone have any questions on the report?
No. Well, this isn't related to the report, so I'll wait. When y'all have a call that's dispatched out, how long do y'all keep those records?
You talking about once we
Record,
we're done?
you record
I
a
believe it's
call
10
when it
years,
comes
isn't
in.
it?
Yes.
How long?
10 years.
10 years. Back before computers, you know, we had them in boxes. We still have some of those.
Yeah, we do.
I think we're required to keep them for 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
And on the corner side is forever, eternity.
Have a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
So moved. Commissioner P, have a second? Commissioner Sereno, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now you have an amendment, don't you?
This isn't really an amendment, but we've had another one of our paramedic ones become qualified to become a paramedic 2. And we would like to raise his position, number 1088, from a paramedic 1 to a paramedic 2 position. It's about $2,000 more a year. We do have it in the budget this year. It will affect next year's, but it'll be about a $2,000 increase this year.
Move to approve.
Motion moved to approve.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Corley. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
One thing I want to point out on that, if it's all right, Mr. Chairman, is they anticipated this last year. We knew about this in budget when we went over it. So this is not a surprise. Used to, we'd get surprised. And we pretty well put a stop to that. Anyway, I appreciate them going about it the way they have.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. To answer, some of you may be thinking about the Forensic Center. We were unable to make that visit to MTSU. MTSU needed our ambulance service, it seemed like everybody we were going to meet with had surgery or something, so we didn't get that meeting. In fact, we were all set to go, and we got a call at the last hour from President McPhee. He said he'd have to meet with us at another time. So we're all practiced, ready to go. We got our script down, what we're going to say, and that sort of thing. But we're going to make it at another date. I want to compliment our director. I got a call late one afternoon from the host of the Truman Show needing somebody for a program, and I agreed to go, but I had to bring my sidekick, so I called Carl, and he agreed to go with me, and we went on there one morning, and I just want to tell you what a good job he did, and I think we sort of helped Truman at bay in that whole morning. It had a real good, interesting morning, and the show, and I want to tell you, he did a good job. So.
That meeting with MTSU was the one scheduled on the 15th.
That's great.
Ms. McPhee had knee replacement. Dean Bud Fisher had knee replacement. There was something else.
Yeah, but the finance director.
Finance director was having colonoscopy. And there was just a lot of things.
None of them want to talk about the Forensic Center. But we'll do it. We are rescheduled, so we'll do that. Okay, sir.
Okay,
You have
first.
something else?
Yes, we have 2 amendments. The first one, we would like to move $55,000 from our 911 paraprofessionals payroll into our convalescent, non-emergency part-time payroll. We continue to make more and more calls. This results in our needing more personnel. This should get us through the end of the year.
Motion to approve.
A motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Fee, have the second. Commissioner Gammon, call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Pede,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino.
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon.
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley.
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Lisa will take this next one. What's this?
Y'all can have one to share and then go that way.
Oh, we'll share.
Let's go this way. We're gonna do some accounting.
I brought them mine.
Oh, let's see.
So, we started on a venture throughout the county about 8 years ago, and that was going on electronic timekeeping. So, the ambulance is one of our very last, does everybody have one? Okay. Okay, so the ambulance is one of our last ones, and every department that we've had always has a little quirk to it, little something different to try to figure out how to do it. So with the ambulance, theirs is that 24 on, 48 off. They're a little different from fire. Fire is 24 on, 48 off, but they have a tour of duty that covers 4 weeks. Ambulance does not have that. So I'm just going to walk you through this spreadsheet so you can understand. My end of my story is the budget amendment. But when you look at a paramedic or an EMT's salary, to get that salary, again, they're on 24, off 48. But in a year, when you look at it, they're going to work 2,080 hours. That's 52 weeks at 40. These are your regular overtime. If they work over 40, it's time and a half. But to get that, they are required to work 840 overtime hours. So with that calculation in mind, then we backdoor into the regular rate and overtime rate. And the way we've handled that through all these years is when you look at the line, paraprofessionals, it's got regular and a component of overtime in that. So with electronic timekeeping, now I will just say, Melanie has taken care of this all these years by, I'm going to say, manually calculating every payroll, how much is required overtime, and accounting for that in the paraprofessional line, and then kept separate anything that people worked overtime that was above that. So to make this electronic timekeeping work for us, it doesn't know how much is regular and how much is
Unscheduled.
unscheduled overtime is what they use. So sometimes when we were starting down this venture, I said, we've just got to keep in mind, we don't have to do it the way we always done it. Let's figure out the best way, the technology for us to use. So I didn't know it was what I did was going to change. I thought it was what they're going to do. And really what it is separating and accounting for regular hours in the paraprofessional line and all overtime in the overtime line item. The same numbers are the same. I put down on the bottom, like the original budget for that paraprofessional line is $5,567,781. I've done the calculations for you on top. So really of the salary, 62% of that pay is regular pay. 38%, I'm rounding, is overtime. So if we were to start this year, I would have split that $5,567,000 this way in separating into paraprofessional and overtime.
How do you count overtime? Is it after so many hours?
After 40.
After 40? Okay. Well, sometimes it's like, if you're scheduled for an 8-hour day, some of the companies out there, you had to stay over 4 hours. That would be overtime. Usually it's after 40, but sometimes not, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so the way they account for it is after 40. Okay, so that is the request, and it's gonna look a little squirrely because this year, unless I figure out toward the end of the year and we'll do an amendment for the first part of the year, is to try to do some comparability. Unless I do that, it's gonna be hard for y'all to compare this year to next year when we budget, because next year we will budget the separation. But we also want to provide to you, and this will be Melanie and I, on where we are in the year. We'll be keeping up with what's in overtime. Where are we? Because we know it's real easy right now. How much do we have left? How much can we move? She's a math major, so she'll easily get it. But when we prepare the budget, we can give you, this is how much the total of required work is, and then at the end we'll separate. We'll just pull out and say, well, this part of it, 30-some% is going to be sitting in overtime.
Just so this goes through my head a little straighter, is this required overtime due to their fixed schedule?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
it's not like I got hung in traffic coming back
No.
from Nashville. and-
That would be
So this is-
unscheduled.
Okay. Just wanted to get clear. Thank you.
So, I mean, I know this gets real down in the weeds for a lot of folks, but this will make the timekeeping work beautifully, right?
Right, yes. Less work for us, yes.
Well, we were going down a path to continue doing it the way we were doing it. It's like Carl's looking at me and said, we're going to have to hire another person. No.
That's the way it was looking,
But
yes.
that's not why we have technology.
Lisa figured it out, so.
Yeah, so anyway, the request is to move it.
Oh,
This,
here it
we're
is.
going to start in, we want to begin, let's say we've got the payroll that we're doing this week, the old way. Are we doing one more?
No, this
Nope.
was it.
This
I
was
set
it.
the last one today.
Okay, then we're going on
I
live.
started live yesterday.
Live on the timesheet. So we got to make sure that the money is there so it will hit there. And so this is a request to move 1.2 million out of the paraprofessional lines into the overtime line.
Okay, I don't have to explain that.
Yield.
I never, 44 years, I never received overtime, so
Well,
you just worked.
Bottom line is identical.
it's identical. It's just how we account for it. Which line are we putting it in?
You have to come to us to do that.
Yes, I need to move money.
You got to boo money.
I'm
you
moving
gotta
the
say
money. Yes, I have to come to you to move the money.
Move to approve, Mr.
yeah.
Chairman.
Okay, she moves to
Second
approve the
that.
move.
Seconded.
Okay, we got seconds all over the place.
Yes.
Commissioner Gamble, Commissioner Gurley, seconds. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Peay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And the Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Let me ask you a quick question before you guys leave. I mean, quick, Lisa.
Hey, but you always have to give you extra information.
The schedule that our paraprofessionals are under, is that common in the industry? Like
Yes.
other counties and other cities? Okay.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yes. I don't know.
This type of payroll accounting system is what's common in cities that have been more progressive than us, correct?
I have no idea. I just know this is going to work for us.
No more questions.
That's that it?
Let me make one comment. We've had an issue in the past with, and it's not gone back a long way, but we've had an issue in the past few years with department heads butting heads. But this is just another perfect example of departments working together and getting things done. And it is a flat-out pleasure to be able to see that happening and not a bunch of moaning going on and crying going on. So I just want to thank you guys for working with Lisa and Lisa working with those guys and getting all this stuff worked out to where, whether we understand it 100% or not, just that bottom line makes me really comfortable, and we appreciate you guys doing all that.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah. One other item, Mr. Chairman, after the agenda went out last week, the director came to me with Scotty and Brian. They're here tonight, but they wanted to come forward and talk about an issue on an ambulance. They've had an ambulance that has gone down. So if we could bring both of them up, and they proposed the idea to me, and I wanted to make sure that we're bringing it up under other business to let this committee take a look at it, give us your recommendation on how we go about, since this one ambulance has just died.
Well,
Director, whoever wants to start.
Well, since we were given another year for the non-emergency side of the ambulance service,
Convalescent side.
One of our ambulances has blown an engine, and basically it's going to cost us about $13,000 to fix it. And the ambulance is not worth $13,000. And if the committee lets us stay with this, and and from looking at the numbers, it's doing exactly what we were hoping it was going to do, I would like to invest in going to the van type ambulance for a simple reason. It's best for that department, and it's cheaper to run that. We can basically buy one van for the price of what we're using on the 911 side. Actually, two vans for the price of what we're using on the 911 side. And we got to do something. And I've asked Scotty to look into it. He's my fleet manager, and we've looked at anywhere from leasing to actually buying. And I wanted him to come and bring the information to you, so you have a clear understanding of the pros and cons of the situation that we're in. And
I thought we were using reserve ambulances.
we are.
That's what we are doing, but they're dwindling down.
Right.
The only ones we can use are the single wheelbase ones, because of where we're put at the old Burton Street building. Nothing else will fit.
If you'll know
Yeah,
something.
okay, I get you. The dual wheel will not fit in the old, which is where you're running out.
Right.
The
And we only have probably about 5 of those left, and one of the ones that we're using now has 257,000 miles.
Are these units the same units that we've been able to interchange the back end on?
Not on these single
Not on them
chassis,
We did do one of them.
but it's harder. You have to special order that chassis because everything's going to dual wheels. So what you're gonna put in that, you can buy a new van cheaper.
Probably exceed the price of the van anyway.
just to save you some time, I'll give my opinion right now. I would like to see you keep using what we've got right now, and then we'll have another couple of months of data by the time we get into budget cycle. And then let's just budget it into next year's budget. Instead of trying to do something in mid-year, just budget it in. Budget cycle, planning cycle is going to start in what, February?
Yes.
So we're talking about what, 3 months?
Yeah, but, excuse me, Commissioner, what they were looking to do is, how they approached me is to take revenue that's been set aside in the convalescent side, using that money in that balance. So it's not, we would just have to do an amendment to where they could use that money as an expenditure from the money that they've been collected in the convalescent side. Am I correct?
Because we've already exceeded our yearly budget.
You brought in more than what you had anticipated in that convalescent side. So they're wanting to dip into that. It would have to be amended. Am I correct? They could dip into that, into that fund
I
balance.
guess from my looking at it, their revenue is coming in. I would,
I can survive to the first year if you want to sit down and talk. And,
I guess I look at it, it looks to me like that this is being successful. Say it again.
Successful.
Successful. Successful. Boy, that would come out.
Yeah.
doing good. Successful.
Yes.
That way.
Yes.
It just gets worse later.
But you're down on ambulance on the
But
convalescent
anyway, it
side,
looks
right?
like it's.
Yes.
And you don't want
looks
to
like
spend
it's-
13,000.
Right. That's right.
Is it cheaper to run this van, obviously, than the other ones eating the hand-me-downs to a point?
Yes, sir, due to the other ones are being so old. So what it is, when they're, as much as they're running, the ones I'm having to put them in now has got as many miles, if not more, as what they're running. So it's just a matter of time before the same problems start happening.
And they're probably not going to be used for any emergency run, right?
No, sir.
Are those vans similar to what St. Thomas's vans?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. You remember like what we used to have?
Yeah, right, a long time ago.
These would be just for BLS runs. I mean, they wouldn't be set up for advanced cardiac life
And it's
support.
reliable for what you're doing.
Yes,
It's
sir.
got
It'd be-
low miles.
Right.
And I'm wholeheartedly for going to the vans. I think it'd be a lot more efficient, it'd be less expense in the long run. I just like to, I'll listen to y'all and just say.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, if we, I guess what I'm asking tonight, if we are, you know, going to let Lisa check this out, see if we've got the money to do that. Go ahead and get permission to bid it out, because I'm assuming we'll still have to bid it out like we do everything else. Go ahead and try to get the bid specs sent out so we could have them approved, whether we bought them now or later.
Commissioner Brody, what do you think? We're going to meet on the 16th. Would that be time enough for you guys to get with Lisa, bring their request back to us? Would that be enough time, Lisa? For you guys to meet and bring it back to us on the 16th?
Well, yes. Yes, but I'm.
16th or is it 19th?
19th.
19th, I'm sorry.
We're also going away from the diesel to the gas, because the gas actually has been a lot more reliable, plus the maintenance on it is even cheaper. The way they're designing them today, they're better than the diesels.
You're talking about
Diesels just aren't made for hard running.
Reliable in cold weather, too.
That's what I'd like to do. I do have a lease option that I've talked to a guy about. That option is out there. It's more of a lease purchase. So if we decided to go that route, the way he explained it to me, and I said, I don't want anything that's gonna catch me on the backside. He said, basically what it amounts to is you going to the bank and buying you a $100,000 car. It's titled in your name. We set the payments up, and then whatever the interest is, that's all the money they make off of it. So it would be ours from the get-go. You get the title till you paid it off. So that last payment, when we paid it off, it's Rutherford County's. You could do it on a 3-year or 5-year. And just, you know, for instance, if he just did a figure on just $70,000. If we did, you can do semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly payments. On a semi-annual for 3 years, your payments would be $12,215. You'd have 6 payments at 3.75%. So, I mean, it just varies how you want to do it. You know, if you go 5 years, you're looking at semi-annual, you're looking at $7,631.91, 10 payments at 3.95%. So all they're making off this is what the percent rate, whatever the interest rate is. So a little over 3,000 on 3 years, 7,000 on 5 years. That's just an option that we have. It's a company called TCF Capital Solutions, and they do municipal leases and they have ambulances, and we can buy from whoever we want to. Some of these lease companies, you have to buy from whoever you want to buy from.
I think Lisa has an opinion on Lisa.
I was just gonna say, on purchasing, whichever way, we gotta go through the full commission, on the amendment. It looks like, in talking with Melanie, we think that the revenues will exceed what we budgeted, and that's what I think the approach that they were taking is just to adjust our revenue and amend in the cost of the trucks to go ahead and purchase it. The end of the story will be the same way. I just, at this point in time, I'd rather take it out of fund balance and put it in there, let the revenue go back in and replace it at the end of the year.
So,
Purchase.
Purchase.
And then we can budget one in, a second one, put that in the budget for next year.
So Jeff, what you were talking about, let them go ahead and put out their bids and then come back the 19th and make our,
They haven't worked out the details with Lisa, and I think most of us are considering this favorably, but the details need to be worked out, and we're going to meet again on the 19th. So
Oh, you gotta put it out for bid.
I can have, if she can get them out and ready to be back, I've got them ready to go. I just gotta do a little bit more tweaking on
And I
them.
think
So we'll be back.
the meeting
I mean, you
before
won't have
y'all's is purchasing on the 19th, right?
I can have them ready to go out by then.
Of December. I think purchasing committee.
On cost on these, what's the difference between frontline emergency running ambulances versus one of these?
You're looking at around 67,000 with a performance load. If we go with the power load, it's gonna be a little more, but I think we have some money in another place we can move for that. If we buy just a truck without any type of stretcher restraint system, you're gonna be looking around 64,000. If we put the standard loads.
What our frontline troops are what now, about 130?
Yes, sir. Well, I think we were at 127.
It's almost twice.
About half of what, you buy two of these to one of them.
And can they, I know you're not outfitted to run emergency, but could they be outfitted to run emergency if we needed to?
Well, no, they'll have all the emergency equipment on. It has to be state regulation. It just won't have cardiac monitors and stuff like that. So it'll be a BLS. But let's say they're transporting a patient from a nursing home or dialysis, and they go south on, and they have to do CPR. They'll have capability of doing basic life support, and whoever's driving will be able to run lights and siren to the hospital. Hopefully that don't ever happen, but they do have that capability. You just won't have a paramedic in the back. It'll be an advanced EMT that'll be able to do basic life support, which is CPR, AED, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
The biggest difference in the vans, you just don't have the room in those to do a full ALS because you gotta have more room. They're tiny.
But they still ride like a wagon.
That was my other question.
okay? So I will make that motion that we just,
Commissioner Frost?
I'll make it.
okay? Have second right there. Damn it. I couldn't make it, so I don't know. All right, I'll tell you, we'll call the roll on this.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we were talking.
And then we'll go ahead and,
You're gonna bid it out. Get it out.
we put out the bids, and then we'll
We'll
go back
have
to
amendment
19th.
coming through next month, right?
Have the information on the 19th.
You know that the purchasing is because the next one's on
Should have known.
Okay, Michael. Paul.
Good evening.
That's it.
All right, sir.
So for the month of October, we had 679 animals enter the shelter. You'll see there down at the bottom, we had 297 of those adopted, 49 were euthanized, and 283 were reclaimed by their original owners. That gave us a euthanasia rate of 6.7% for the month, and our live release rate for dogs below that, you'll see, was 93.2%. Our cats were 92%, and overall, 91.8% live release rate. You can see that the veterinary medical team did 209 surgeries for the public, which is about double what we normally do, and we had 90 cats that went out through our spay neuter programs. We had 2,622 people come to the shelter during October to look for a lost or new pet, and almost 2,500 calls and voicemails.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
From those 209 animals that were reclaimed from the surgery program, are you telling me that you got one vet that did 209 surgeries in that one month?
Well, that was 209 just for the public for that month. That doesn't include the ones that we did within the shelter as well. We're running around 4,500 to 5,000 surgeries a year. So that's using our full-time veterinarian, and then we also use those contract vets that come in 2 to 3 days per week.
Well, I was fixing to say you were pushing one vet there.
Oh, we're pushing, and we want to be able to get that other one filled. The other full-time position, we're just not having the applicants at this point. We had 2,102 calls received, and you see the breakdown there of the jurisdictions, and we traveled 15,399 miles. Fiscal year to date, 2,756 animals have come into the shelter. We're sitting at a 90.0% live release rate. Almost 11,000 people have visited the shelter, and almost 9,600 calls and voicemails, and we've ran 7,960 calls, traveling 55,520 miles. The next part of the report is the rabies exposure and bite report for October. We had 20 bites that were reported. 4 of those animals were tested. None of them came back as positive. And we had 9 other exposures. None of those were tested. So we're still remain at the 2 positive cases for 2019 thus far. And that's all I have for the report.
Okay, have a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
So moved. Commissioner P.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I believe you have a amendment 2?
Yes, sir. A couple of things for your consideration. The first is we're asking to move $31,000 out of the Paul's donation line over into building maintenance and repair, other supplies and materials, and data processing equipment. The building maintenance and repair is to do some much needed improvements to our landscaping and our play yard areas. We've got some trees that need to come down, a lot of bushes that need to come out and be replaced that are they've just taken over everything. And some of those trees that once we got the leaves off, we could kind of see what was going on. Some of those are starting to get dead and need to be brought down. We've spoken to maintenance, and they'll be doing a lot of the labor stuff on that. The other supplies and materials is to purchase some additional feral cat boxes and some additional transport crates, and the data processing equipment, which is the bulk of that amendment, are for our officer laptops. When we started purchasing those, well, before we even started purchasing those in 2012, we were using hand-me-downs from EMA, and then we started purchasing some from there, and we were buying refurbished just due to the cost. And a lot of those are giving issues. We've got 2 of our 12 that are at OIT right now, and they're not going to be able to be fixed, and they just ran their useful life. The mayor recommended that I get with the new IT director, Cody York, and we sat down with him and Darren and Jamie from OIT, and we talked about going from a fully rugged notebook to a semi-rugged notebook, which would meet our application better and save quite a bit of money. It's about half the cost. So this is just to kind of bite the bullet and go ahead and replace all those laptops so we can get everybody back in shape. The second part of the budget amendment is just to move money within our budget from drugs and medical supplies over to custodial supplies, just try to get us to the end of the year there.
Any questions anyone has? Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to
Commissioner
approve.
Garlick. Have a second? Second.
You
Commissioner
can
Phillips.
get both of them together.
Okay. Let's go ahead with separate. We already have the motion for that one.
Okay.
Call the vote.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Peay?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes. Okay, sir.
That was it.
That's it?
Yes, sir. That was both budget amendments.
That's what I'm doing.
Thank you all.
All right. Ms. Duke,
Thank you.
last one, but I tell you what, we'll promise for Christmas we'll let you go first.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not special.
Okay. So in front of you tonight is our monthly report for October. Since we sent this out, we have received checks from Gibson County, Giles County, Sumner County, and Wilson County. So those have come in. One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight that we haven't in the past is, or that I haven't spent a lot of time on in the past, is our kids that are graduating from our online Penn Foster courses. We've had 8 kids that graduated last year, and we graduated a young man last month and another young man this month, and we have 4 that are currently working on their high school diplomas through this online course. These are young people who probably would not be getting their high school diploma or equivalency through their regular school. So, we're pretty excited about that. And if you have any other specific questions about any of the reports, I'll be happy to answer them.
How long would it take them to complete it?
They can work as fast as they choose to. It's go at your own pace. So we have some young men who are only going to be with us for a short amount of time, and so they work very hard to get those credits done. We have others that are going to stay a little longer, and so they may stretch it out a bit, but as quickly as they want to work that program, they can.
That's good.
Any other questions in the report?
I just noticed this. That partner there, tell me how that works.
Well, we just got a new team that's coming in. Pet Partners is a national program where they are certified and bonded and licensed, and they come in, and depending upon the team, depends upon what they do in the facility. We have different teams that, based on what their skill set is, will work with the kids who choose to work with them in particular ways. We've had one team that came in and the kids were able to work the dogs through obstacles. We have another team that comes in and the kids get to do some stress relief with them. We have a no-touch policy at juvenile detention, so the guards don't hug the kids. The only interaction that they have with something warm and fuzzy is when the Pet Partner teams come through, and they love it when they do. So we have a new team that comes through pretty regularly that the young people really are enjoying. The dog's name is Fred, and he's a little corgi, and every time he comes, every single kid requests to have some time with Fred. So we enjoy all our Pet Partner teams.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve the report.
Commissioner Peay, motion to approve. Have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I believe you have an audit contract.
So every 3 years, we're required to participate in a Prison Rape Elimination Act audit. per our state minimum standards. So this is our third year. This particular contract has been looked at by the county attorney. He made some requested changes. The auditor was happy to make those changes, and what's in front of you does have the changes that were suggested and recommended by the county attorney. The audit lasts about 2 days, costs $3,500, and that is in our budget. We're just getting the contract set up so that he's ready to come in June.
Mr. Mayor, to approve.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's made to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gammon. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Pease?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
And Chairman Reed.
Yes.
I have one more thing. Last month, Commissioner Phillips asked to get an update on our open positions that we had. I was intending to tell you that we still had one part-time educational assistant position open, but one of our temporary employees that is currently working with us has been offered and has accepted that position when her temporary position runs its course, and so she's going to be filling that spot. So in about 2 weeks, all of our positions will be filled.
Is that a first?
Yes, in a very long time. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Good deal. Anything else? If not, appreciate you hanging around.
Thank you.
Any other business? If not, happy Thanksgiving.
19th, 6 o'clock.
19th at 6 o'clock. Meeting's adjourned.